All right, crankbaits. Up north, growing up, used crankbaits quite a bit, and over the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, don't throw them a lot up north. Didn't throw them a lot, didn't use them a lot. I mean, I can remember having some of my greatest days of fall largemouth fishing, throwing crankbaits in that, 4 to 8 foot range. Caught hundreds and thousands of smallmouths around home with crankbaits, crawfish colored crankbaits growing up. But for some reason, kind of got away from it. I start fishing down south, in the last 8 or 9 years, and I've had so many days in fish tournaments where if you weren't using a crankbait on a lot of the reservoirs down south, you were going to get your butt whipped. And so I've learned a lot with, about them over the last few years, and now they're a pretty regular part of my arsenal. So using a lot of Bagley stuff now, Balsa crankbaits, so they're very lively, have a lot of action. The Balsa is very buoyant, and that's what gives them their really unique wiggle and a lot of action. So this one's rigged up for fishing around home. That's a little Sunny B. That's gonna, in that 5 to 7, 8 foot range with 12-pound test. I like to change a lot of the hooks out on my baits. Put the Gamakatsu G Finesse trebles on there, just pretty strong, thin diameter, so they penetrate really easy, and ultra sharp. So a lot of my tournament baits, that's what I'm putting on them. And then, I'm just gonna go through some of the baits that I carry and where I use them, when I use them. For 2022, Bagley has a whole bunch of new colors coming out, and they're a lot of them have the hand painted look. Some of the more kind of matte finishes, but across most of their lineup, we've got some new colors. So, we got everything to kind of cover you from the shad patterns, the crayfish patterns. We've got some bright colors, but just lots of cool new colors that, are going to be able to have you covered for any situation that you might be dealt with. A lot of these baits are designed for kind of shallower water. That's a diving B1, so that's a 4 to 8 foot range, and really this bill is awesome. It deflects off stuff really well, boulders, stumps, anything, doesn't snag a lot, and just a really good versatile all-around crankbait. You can catch smallmouths on these really good, and then obviously largemouths as well. Getting into some of the squarebill style baits, these are really popular, especially down south, but starting to use them a lot more around home. That's a Pro Sunny B, and then we've also got the flat B2. So, these are kind of my two squarebill options, and I have my general rule. The flat bait, these are designed for fishing, and they're really popular for fishing in cold water. So if I'm fishing water that's below 55 degrees, say a lot of those, February and March tournaments in the south, or for fall fishing around home, I'm gonna go with the flat bait. And then, water's above 55 degrees, I'm going to go with this Pro Sunny B. It's got a little bit wider body, a little bit more action, and wider wiggle. Getting into a little bit deeper water, this is the diving B2, and you can get down in that 10, 12 foot range with this. I've got them to go 14 feet with 10-pound test if you really want to get them down, but really good largemouth bait and a good smallmouth bait as well when they're on, if you're fishing some flats, you got to cover some water. These are going to get down a little bit deeper in the water column and allow you to cover some deeper water. And then finally, this is kind of the staple, and it's sort of a squarebill style fat-bodied crankbait. Really a really good shallow water bait, but that's the regular B1, and for that 3 to 6 foot range, these things are killers. I use a lot of the crayfish patterns up north. I mean, smallmouths and largemouths up north through the summer months. Crayfish is kind of their primary forage, but we've got carry some of the shad patterns as well, and ready for any situation. But the Balsa crankbaits are, really versatile, and they're really good at going over cover and structure and not snagging. They're great for that. If you reel them slow and kind of feel your way along with them when you're bumping into stuff, which is the big triggering quality. A lot of the time when you're crankbait fishing, you can if you hit something, you can let them float back up and then keep them going again. A lot of times when you hit something and let it float back up, that's when the fish will bite. So give some of these baits a try. They're real fish catchers and big part of my arsenal.